Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor, and we've got news in the presidential sweepstakes for 2024. A recent poll came out from the Washington Post ABC News that shows Donald Trump up 10 points in a head-to-head matchup against President Joe Biden. More importantly, Donald Trump is now registering with 52% of the electorate. He's over 52%. He is beating Joe Biden head-to-head 52 to 42. And you know what that means? It means they got to get rid of Joe Biden. Because after months and months and months of quite possibly the very worst news cycle in politics in the history of presidential elections, with indictment after indictment after indictment thrown at Donald Trump, he is actually stronger today than he was when the Biden administration began this witch hunt against him. Joe Biden is drowning, and the Democrats are going to have to get rid of him. So who replaces him? All eyes now turn to Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. And I know you may be rolling your eyes. There's no way the Democrats would be so stupid that they would nominate the man who has ruined California, who has actually overseen the first time in history where California has lost its population. Yeah, the Golden State, where people all around the country used to want to go for palm trees and beaches and the surf and the Beach Boys and all the great things, Hollywood and movie stars and Beverly Hills and swimming pools and all those things. Nobody wants it anymore because this man, Gavin Newsom, has ruined the state of California. They actually have seen their population decline year after year after year since he became the governor. Why would the Democrats be that stupid? Well, because they're arrogant and they actually think they're right, and they think that America wants the kind of totalitarian ideas that Gavin Newsom has been putting into play there. Now, I know you may think that it's a long shot for Gavin Newsom, and you may be right, but there was an indication late Friday night that Gavin Newsom doesn't think it's a long shot. In fact, Gavin Newsom is positioning himself perfectly because he did something that no one expected. He did, for Democrats in the era of 2023, gender politics would be absolutely unthinkable. He vetoed a bill that was put on his desk by the California legislature, a bill that would have empowered the state to remove children from their parents' custody if those parents dared to resist the push toward gender affirmation, what they call gender affirmation. Of course, let's just be clear, gender affirmation is deliberately, through chemical, pharmaceutical, and even surgical means, to change a child's gender. And the state of California Democrats, who control the legislature, they wanted to categorize it as child abuse. If a parent says, no, I shall keep my child intact. I will not put puberty blockers into their system to keep them from developing naturally. I will not go along with this fraudulent desire to change a child's biology before our very eyes. Democrats in California wanted to call that child abuse and take that child away from those parents. Governor Newsom vetoed the bill. Here's a look at the letter that he sent. This was Friday night, and he said, I am sending this back without my signature. I will veto it. So now, is this Gavin Newsom saying, hell no, not on my watch? How dare you? Parents need to have a say in this. The state does not own these children. The state can't come in here and tell parents that they're bad parents because they, but no, actually that's not what Gavin Newsom's doing here at all. Now, he'll get the headlines and he'll be able to go to an interview and he'll be able to say, I didn't do that. No, we didn't put that law. In fact, I vetoed that law. They went too far. I have a line. I'm going to draw them. There does need to be some sort of common sense here. That's what he'll say. But actually what you're seeing at play here is something much more insidious and, frankly, much more evil. You see, it's one thing to do a horrible thing and have a horrible position. It's another thing to do it in a deceitful manner so that you try to act like and appear to be the reasonable one in the room. Let me remind you of last week's interview that Gavin Newsom gave to CNN when he was asked point blank, would you put any restriction on abortion in America? Is there any week, the final week of gestation, would you put a limitation there? See, he was claiming that Republicans are lying when they say that Democrats want abortion right up until the moment of birth. So Dana Besh, CNN, said, well, what is the limitation there? Here, watch.
There has to be some kind, well, let me just talk about your state of California. Yeah. As you well know, there's a law in books that preceded you that says that you can have an abortion up until viability, which is about 24 weeks.
That's right.
Is that something that you support personally?
That's in statute in the state of California. That said, there was a constitutional amendment that we placed on the ballot that has some nuance in it. And so that's an area that's being adjudicated in public opinion and likely will ultimately be adjudicated in the
courts. Is it the government's role then? I know you said it's up to women.
To make that decision.
So there should be nothing on the books?
This is a false flag.
God, he just emits demonic evil, doesn't he? Arrogant demonic evil. But you heard what he just said there. It's false. It's a false flag. No Democrat wants to make it okay to have an abortion right up until birth. So the law in California is viability. You can't have an abortion after viability, 24 weeks. But you heard what he said. Well, we just put in a constitutional amendment with more nuanced language that's being adjudicated. Yeah, that nuanced language that he championed, that he pushed for, it says that the state shall not restrict a woman's right to reproductive choice, period. End of discussion. Do you know what that means? The state shall not restrict a woman's right to reproductive choice. It means the state shall not limit abortion. It means that if a woman wants to have abortions right up until the moment of birth, the state shall not limit it. He championed it. He almost wrote that constitutional amendment and put it on the ballot, campaigned for it, made a big deal out of it. In fact, he's volunteering to spend California state tax dollars to let children travel from across other state lines to have an abortion in California. That's what an abortion enthusiast he is. But you saw him sit there in that interview and say, nah, come on, nobody wants this. That's a lie. It's a false flag. In fact, we have a law here that says 24 weeks, right? That's reasonable. You see, when you deliver evil with a smile on your face and lie flat out without even blinking, that's terrifying. Which brings us back to all the headlines he's going to get. Gavin Newsom draws the line. No, it's not child abuse. No, you shouldn't take children from parents if they don't affirm their new gender. Let's take a look at that letter he sent again. And I don't know if you can see the last paragraph here. Let's zoom in here. This is the reason why he vetoed the bill. Moreover, a court under existing law is required to consider a child's health, safety, and welfare when determining the best interest of a child in these proceedings, including the parent's affirmation of the child's gender identity. You see? That's what's really at play here. See, the law already is in place. Judges determining whether a child should be taken from parents are supposed to take into account the child's health, welfare, and security, and a parent's refusal to go along with this gender mania is exactly an excuse that a judge will use. But of course, Gavin Newsom doesn't want to put his name on it. He doesn't want to sign it. He doesn't want the Democrats to vote for it. He doesn't want it actually spelled out. No. Just like the abortion law in California. He wants to use fancy, deceptive euphemisms. State shall not restrict a woman's right to reproductive choice. That means have an abortion whenever you want. And now, a judge being able to take into account a child's health, welfare, and security means parents, you will lose your child to the state if you don't go along with gender affirmation. But you can never nail him down on it because, hey, he vetoed the bill, right? Yeah, Joe Biden's in real trouble, and they probably are going to bounce him off the ticket. And yeah, they probably will make a play for Gavin Newsom, which means we're in real trouble. There's more to come on O'Connor Tonight.